Hey Board Game Maniacs, Maniac Rob here to bring you another gameplay video. As you can see before me, we are going to play Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition. That's right, 2nd Edition. Originally when it first came out, obviously it was the 1st edition. And the difference between Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition and 1st Edition, there's little variables that are different. But one main difference is that for the 2nd Edition, there's no Mansion Master or DM that overlooks everything and controls the monsters and does all the board stuff and everything. But Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition, that person is replaced with the application or the app that you can download for free on Google Play Store. You can also download it, I think, on the for Apples as well as PC and Android. So check that out if you're not sure. Now this is from Fantasy Flight Games. They created this. This is a long time running game. It's a phenomenal game. I played it on different occasions with other maniacs, but this is my first time running a solo mission where I'm going to be controlling 2 characters, and we're going to do the very first scenario in the book, or in the app I should say, because it does recommend the book for your first time playing. You should only go through the first scenario. And I know I played it before, but I may make rules mistakes, so we're going to stick with the basics and we're going to move up from there. What my ultimate plan for this is, though, is that if this goes well and I figure out how I can do all this editing and show the app and you know, incorporate all this into a really nice polished video, I'm going to get other maniacs here and we are going to play a campaign of Mansions of Madness. That's right, a full out campaign for Mansions of Madness. If you would like to see such a thing as a campaign for Mansions of Madness, by all means, hit the like, hit the subscribe buttons, comment down below and say, yes, I would like to see the campaign for Mansions of Madness, or no, I don't think you should do it. In any case, I'm playing the first scenario tonight with you so that we can figure out how to play this properly, and let's try to kill some monsters. Alright, Board Game Maniacs, as you can see, we are on the screen for Select Scenario for Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition. Now, what we are playing is the recommended first scenario that you should play when you're starting to learn the game, which is Cycle of Eternity. After a rash of disappearance, your investigators bring you to the Vanderbilt Mansion during a meeting of a particular astronomical society. Can you unravel the mystery before the Cycle of Eternity turns once more? So you can see there's 1 to 15 scenarios. I have the expansion packs added into this. I also have the cards mixed in with the Mansions of Madness. But again, I'm going to try to keep this simple, and we're only playing the first scenario. I may flip over some cards that are more advanced for other scenarios, but that's fine. We're still going to use them, but we are playing the first scenario. As you can see here, under difficulty, it has a 2-star rating, so it's not that difficult. Duration is 60 to 90 minutes. It's probably going to take a little longer because when I'm recording videos, it just adds up. So, on with the show, we are going to click on Select Investigator, and then we get to pick what investigators we want to pick. Now, I'm trying to keep the investigators, I'm walking away from the mic here, sorry, because I'm just picking up the cards, because I randomly selected which investigators. I didn't pick my preferences of what I like. I just randomly selected some investigators. And the investigators we have that we are playing is going to be Wilson Richards and Michael McGlenn. They're not on this screen, so I'm just going to click on the arrow. I'm going to find Wilson Richards and Michael McGlenn. None of them are here. Michael McGlenn. There's one. And now I have to find Wilson Richards, which is right here. That is it. So we selected our investigators, and then we click on Game, Starting Items. Again, this is only a 2-player game. I'm controlling them. So what this means, now it tells you need the crowbar, the mutation juice, whiskey, azure flame, and instill bravery. So I'm going to stop the video right there. I'm going to gather the cards, and I will be back. Also, each investigator gains 2 clues. This is a look at the figures. I actually have almost every one of the Mansions of Madness figures painted and completed for this game. So let's look here first at this gentleman right here. And this is Michael McGlenn. You can see him all painted. He's got a nice Tommy gun there. And he's got a custom base I made. So it looks like a floor panel, like a rotted old floor panel. So let's look at the stats for Michael McGlenn here quickly. So Michael McGlenn, he's a gangster. He has 9 heart and 5 mind. Whenever a monster is defeated, become focused. So that's his special ability. And here you have stats. So his stats are strength is 5, agility 3, observation is 4, lore is 2, influence 3, and will is 4. What that means is whenever you're going to take specific tests into the game, that's how many dice you use to roll. And on the back here, it gives a little story. The story so far, I'm not going to read this, but it tells about what Michael McGlenn is. And, you know, just a little backstory. This is for every character, which is really cool. But for the starting items, I divvied them up. In the rulebook, it does say that the investigators can choose which way they want to divvy them up, and this is how I did. So I gave Michael McGlenn the Azure Flame. Treat this card as a light source. So this here is, you know, you can see in the dark, and you can use it as a weapon because it has a weapon symboled in here. Sorry for the reflection there. These are all in protective sleeves, so it's going to have a little bit of more highly reflectiveness to it. So I gave him that. I gave him the whiskey. So the whiskey is an equipment, which is really cool. Discard up to 2 face down horror, then flip this card, because these cards have, some of the cards have other adverse effects and so forth on the back, but I'm not going to read them. When it tells me to flip it, I will flip it and read them then. And you can see I also gave them mutation juice, and it's also equipment. The action is improve your agility, then discard this card. So it gives me an extra agility, which is really good. Now let's go look at Wilson Richards. There's a miniature for Wilson Richards, and again he's on the wooded base that I created. I custom made them for the game because this game is awesome. Anyhow, so Wilson Richard, he's the handyman, and he's got a double barrel shotgun. Interesting. He has heart of 8 and mind of 6, very close to Michael McGlenn. And his special abilities, after you resolve a horror check, become focused. His strength is 5, agility 4, observation is 3, lore is 2, influence 4, and will is 3. And he also has a little story in the back, but I'm not going to read that. And I gave him Instill Bravery. This action says, you or another investigator within range discard 1 horror, then flip this card. There's text on the back too as well. And he has a crowbar, which is a weapon. It's a heavy weapon, so when I attack monsters, I can use the crowbar. And it says, a hefty tool for getting the job done right. Yes, because you can split monster skulls open very easily. And that are the starting items and the characters I'm using for this game. Let's go back to the app and see what else it tells us. Oh, one thing I forgot to add here, which I'll do, is clue tokens, because it does say that each of my heroes will gain clue tokens, which are these things. So I'm going to place 2 clue tokens there. And 2 clue tokens there. So what these are for, you can spend the clue token so that you can re-roll a die that has a magnifying glass. There may be other things for this too as well. Be prepared that I'm probably going to make a couple of rules mistakes. It's been a long time since I played this game. And if I do, just comment down below, refer to the page number like I said into the intro, and say like, hey, you did this, but you should have done that, and this is the page number to reflect on what I am saying. There's just a special look at the dice too as well. So these are successes, and they are clues that you can spend a clue token, and they're blanks too as well. And that is the specialty dice I use for this game. I got some the map tiles. They're double-sided, thick cardboard. The quality of this game is superb. It will withstand the test of time for sure. I got my books here for reference too as well. And as you've seen into the intro that I did, that I had more boxes than just the 2nd edition, because there are lots and lots of expansions that you can buy for this game. And the Fantasy Flight just keep coming out with more expansions, more and more. Again, it is a 1 to 5 player game. I don't know if I said 1 to 5 or 1 to 6, so I'm just correcting that. And it's a game of exploration, mystery, and horror. So yeah, there's some horror elements into it. There's exploration. There's mystery. There's also puzzles that you have to solve in the app to proceed and unlock certain things. And there's time limits too as well, which is really cool. So anyhow, let's go back to the app and we'll see what else that I have in store. So now we're in the app where we left off. We get all of our starting items and we have our 2 clue tokens. So let's click on continue setup. See what it's going to tell us. It is absolutely necessary for the peace and safety of mankind that some of Earth's dark, dead corners and unplummeted depths be left alone or let alone. H.P. Lovecraft. Now, he wrote a series of short stories. He wrote a series of books, everything like this. His imagination was so vast, and you're going to be able to see this in the game because it does use a lot of stuff from H.P. Lovecraft for this game. So let's begin scenario.
You slump into your office chair after another long day of interviews. You've been investigating the disappearances surrounding a wealthy neighborhood for 2 weeks, but you have nothing to show for it. The telephone rings. You answer and hear the panicked voice of an older man.
Is this the investigator who visited the Vanderbilt estate?
You flip through the files on your desk. William Vanderbilt, a wealthy bachelor, mother recently deceased. He has refused to meet with you, but you were able to speak to several members of his serving staff.
This is Eugene, Mr. Vanderbilt's butler. I didn't know who else to call. The police think I'm crazy. Unnatural things have started happening here. I'm worried for my master. I think he's in danger. Please, help.
Finally, a lead. You hang up the phone, throw on your coat, and leave for the Vanderbilt estate.
There you go. This is what we have to do for this scenario. Oh boy. Okay, so in this app, it tells you exactly what tiles to set up, got little blurbs of what to read, and like your starting items and everything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to bore everybody by just recording this part. I will set up the beginning part of it and I will be back. Your car rattles up the uneven driveway, pulling to a stop in front of the estate. Several cars and carriages are parked along the drive. However, the butler who contacted you is nowhere to be seen. You knock on the large oak door. To no response. Fearing something has happened, you try the handle and the door swings open into the lavish entryway. That is a little insert. There's going to be a lot of text to read during this. I'm not going to record and read all of it, just like other videos that we're doing. I'm going to just record the significant stuff. In any case, you can hear it, the music in the background. It's setting the mood. Now, I'm going to continue setting up, like I said. And one thing I like to let you know, it says place the lobby tile and walls as indicated. You can see this little tentacle icon. So on the tiles, they have different icons. So it makes it so much easier to find when you just organize everything. And you can see things that are in green or highlighted green. That means stuff that you have to place onto the game board. So I will be back when I finish setting up the game for this part, and we'll continue on with this scenario. You can see that I have the board set up exactly like what it is on the app. I'm going to be jumping back and forth during gameplay between the live action play and the app play. Now, I'm not going to record everything, obviously, because it's going to make the video go so much longer, because I'm going to have to stop, I'm going to have to explain things and so forth. So because of that, I'm not going to record everything. I'm going to record the first part just so everybody understands the basics of each investigator's move, and I'm going to record the basics of the second phase, which is the bad guy phase, or mythos phase, as if that's the way that's referred to in the book. It's mythos phase. So first off, we're going to go with the investigator phase. I'll explain to you roughly what the investigator phase entails or details. You can see from the book here, it breaks down the different phases. So with the investigator phase, during the investigation phase, each investigator performs up to 2 actions, performing actions in a primary way in which investigators move around the game board and interact with their surroundings. The investigators take turns in the order of their choice on an investigator's turn. They perform up to 2 actions of their choice, his or her choice. Then the next investigator takes their turn, and so on until each investigator has taken turns. During the investigator phase, investigators can perform the following actions. The detailed rules of these actions are explained in the following sections. I'm not going to go into it, but pretty much during your move, the investigator can move up to 2 spaces. That's right. And for the explore action, they can interact with objects like the question marks you can see there, or the explorer tokens there too as well. And you can also, if there's anybody like a butler going around or what have you, you can click on and talk to them in the app. Just to keep things simple, I'm going to go over the rules as we discover them when we're playing the game. Now, again, this is more of a gameplay video than more of a tutorial / gameplay video, but I'm going to try to explain some of the rules as they come up. And I'm going to read from the book if I'm not sure about something, so we try not to make any mistakes. But again, remember, viewers, if you notice any mistakes, please, please, please comment down below and let me know, and refer to a page number so that I can get them clear. So let's just talk about borders and passable borders and spaces and that just quickly here. So these are spaces on the board. I'm zigzagging, but the board has different spaces. Now, the zones of how you can move is determined by the white line you can see here. You can see here is another one. So that's one space here, that's another space, this would be another space. Now, if on the board you encounter a dotted white line or a dotted yellow line, that represents impassable borders, and monsters and heroes or investigators cannot cross. And there's also like walls, you can see like the brown edge, you can see here, that was the door, but for this scenario it's covered up with the picture frame. These here you can click on during the app and you can interact with them like I said before. These are explorer tokens, you can click on them too as well, and you can discover another part of the room, which we're certainly going to do. And each investigator can move up to 2 spaces. So like, for instance, this is 1 space. That's 1 space move, 2 space move, so big one. So that's how it can move. That's 2 zones, or you can choose to only move 1 if you want. That's completely up to you. So I'm going to continue on. We're going to play the game. I'm going to record part of what we're going to do and see what happens. So just hang on, and hopefully we'll do this very well, or at least good enough so everybody can have some fun and understand this game. I love this game. It's been a while since I played it, and there are probably going to be some rules mistakes like I said, but let's try to venture in this mansion of madness. Let's start off with Wilson Richards. He's going to go first, and he is the handyman. Now, Wilson Richards, for his first action, he's going to stay in this zone, and he's going to click. He's going to flip this to interact with it and see what that will tell him. Let's go to the app and find out. Wilson Richards is clicking on. You can see my mouse is hovering over the yellow question mark. Let's click on it. This is my first action. A disheveled pile of papers sits on the table. Do we want to search it or cancel? I'm going to search. The papers stacked on the table are invitations marked with today's date. I can't read. The stars have come round to their position in the cycle of eternity. The Vanderbilt Astronomy Association cordially invites you to a celebratory evening. Gain 1 clue, then discard the search token. Nice, so he gets 1 clue token and he discards that. So let's continue on. I'm going to do that and then we'll go back to the gameplay now. So Wilson Richards, that gets discarded because he clicked on it, and he gets an extra clue token, which is right there because of the invitations you can see. He has 3 clue tokens now, so he's starting out pretty good. So that was 1 action. So for a second action, because he didn't even move, because as you can see, there's no white line here, so this is included in one of the zones. I don't know if I should click on one of these explorer tokens, or should I go and click on a question mark? I think because this is a 2-player game, I'm going to try to stick together as much as possible with my 2 investigators. So for his second action, he's going to go right here. Now, I can't click on that because I already did one action. So the second action, I only moved one zone. And that ends Wilson Richards' turn, the handyman. Now it's on to the gangster, Michael McGlenn. And what Michael McGlenn is going to do, he's going to follow suit. He's going to go up here for one action. For the second action, he's going to click on this token right here, this question mark. McGlenn is going to, he moved, he was here, and he moved up for one action. He's with Wilson still. He's going to click on this and search. So an end table standing against the wall holding a telephone. Of course I want to search. You try the drawer, but warped wood has left it stuck shut. So now you can see this icon. This means a strength test has to be done. So I'm going to have to roll as many dice as what I do for my strength test, input what the value is, and then click on confirm to see if I successfully passed it. So let's do the strength test and see if he is going to be strong enough to open that door. Michael McGlenn is going to try to open up that warped drawer in the desk. So if you look on his stats card, it's kind of shiny, but you can see his strength is 5. So I have to roll 5 dice, and the stars mean it's counts as 1 success. So let's see if how many successes I get here. Oh, that sucks. I don't get any at all. Holy smokes, you're so weak. So what I could do, because I have my magnifying glass, if I wish, I can sell one of my clue tokens to confirm that or change that to a success. But I don't want to do that, because if I do, then, because he only has 2 starting off, he's not that good. And you don't want to do that. Now that was one action and the second action for that. So he's done with his actions. We are done of the investigator phase. We're going on to the mythos phase now. Let's go back to the app. As we could tell, as we seen, I should say, he sucked really bad. He wasn't able to click on it. He's really weak, or just, you know, he didn't eat his Wheaties or didn't have his coffee yet. So 0, click on confirm, and you come up with something else. You struggle with the drawer to no avail. It remains stuck. So you click on continue. That is the end of the investigator phase. So when you're done with the investigator phase, you can see at the bottom of the screen you have different things. Here, I'm not going to explain what these are until we encounter them, but the one over to the right is the arrow, which means you click on it. End of the investigator phase. Yes, it is, so confirm. Now it is the mythos phase. Let's see what happens. The sound of soft voices reaches your ears. This mythos event affects the investigator with the highest observation. Oh boy. Dolores and unsettling chanting fills the air. So this is lore and 2. So I'm going to have to take a lore test to beat this. So I have to, whoever has the highest observation, I have to take that many dice and roll. It has to be 2 or higher. If you fail, the alien language sets you on edge, suffer 1 face down horror. So again, I'm going to have to do the test for this with the lore, and it's the highest observation. And again, it's back to the investigator phase. So let's go back to the table. Let's do the test. And I'm going to suffer 1 face down horror if I am unsuccessful. So let's go back and see what happens. Back at the table, the investigator with the highest observation is none other than McGlenn, Michael McGlenn. He has, you can see here, observation of 4. I'll zoom down on that. And if you look over at Richards, he has an observation of 3. So therefore, he has to take the test. So he has 4 observations, so you take 4 dice, and he has to get 2 or higher to pass. If not, he suffers a face down horror. And what is it with me and rolling tonight? Like, this is horrible. But I don't want to get horror right from the get-go. So what I'm going to do, because you can see the 4 dice, I got 3 magnifying glasses, or search glasses. So I'm going to spend, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to spend my 2 clue tokens. And that means I changed 2 of these to a success. So I did pass. I don't suffer any face down horror, luckily for me. And that is how you go about playing the investigators. One investigator goes the next investigator goes, and then the mythos phase. So I'm not going to keep recording everything for this, but when something happens that I feel the need that I should be recording this so everybody can see it, I will be back. So just stand by. And the reason why I'm doing this is so that the video is not going to be 4 hours long. Hang on to your hats. I'll be back when something significant happens. Back to the investigator phase. I said I wasn't going to come back until something exciting happens. Wilson is going to try to open this, so that is kind of exciting. He's going to try to search this, I should say. So his strength is 5. So I got to do this and then input the results. He didn't get any magnifying icons or search icons, but he got 2. 2 is better than 0. So we're going to go back to the app. I'm going to click on it, see what it is, and I'll be back and let you know what happened. He rolled 2, I inputted it into the app, and what happens is it tells me to discard this, and he opened up the drawer. He's a little stronger than what he realized, and he yanked on it so hard there was a phone sitting on the desk, and the phone fell on the floor, and what happens is the drawer opened up, and inside he found this thing right here. And this is holy water. Holy water, it's equipment. Discard 1 horror and become focused, and discard this card. So that's going to be really good if I get a horror to help me get rid of it. That is awesome. And like I said before, I'm going to try to keep them all together. So that was one action he did. The second action is Wilson Richards, or Richards, whatever. He's moving over here and he's not going to go any further because we want to get this one too as well. So now it is on to Michael McGlenn. And for one action, he's moving here, and he's going to interact with this search icon token right here. McGlenn is going to click on or try to interact with this icon. So this is his second action, so he's clicking onto it. A mysterious painting of a landscape under a nightly sky overlooks the lavish entryway. As you can tell, I'm wearing my glasses, so I'm not going to stumble over the words as much. So search. Shadowy figures can be seen amidst the landscape. However, something in the stars catches your interest. So I have to roll for lore and input just like we seen for the strength that he failed miserably. So I am going to roll for lore. We're going to input it. I'll be back and I'll tell you what happened. Michael McGlenn is going to try to search for that. His lore is only 2, so oh boy. Hopefully he's going to be a little more successful than his last one. And he had more dice too and he got nothing. That was horrible. I got 1 result. 1's better than nothing. So I'm going to input that into the app and see what happens. And we'll be back. Now we have to input what we got. And we got a 1 success only, so we put in 1 and we click confirm. Your recollection of the constellation is hazy. Constellations, I can't even read, is hazy. But something about the painting rubs you the wrong way. There must be a detail you are missing. So, which means, again, he failed his test, so it remains there. But we're done with the investigator phase, so let's find out what happens in the mythos phase. Confirm. So with the mythos phase, I don't like these mythos phase, just letting you know. Light and shadow create distracting patterns on the walls. This mythos event affects the investigator with the lowest observation. Lovely. Clicking on click, continue. You try to discern what made that worrisome shadow. So I have to roll my observation. I get 1 or higher to pass. If you pass, you identify it as a harmless, mundane object outside the window. If you fail, you conjure up imagined answers far worse than the truth. Become dazed. Oh boy. So now, whoever has the lowest observation has to make this test. So let's go to the board and see what happens. Hopefully he's going to pass it, whoever it is. So far the game is taking a lot longer because we're failing all our tests. So it is Wilson Richards that has the lowest observation. So his observation is 3. Michael McGlenn is 4. So let's see. All he needs is 1. He's got it. So he did successfully pass. Nothing happens, and we go back onto the investigator phase. I'll be back when something else happens. I'm going to keep recording this. I keep saying I'm going to come back, but then I'm like, oh yes, I'm just going to keep rolling on this. So I'll recap if we miss anything. Just when you think it's safe, this what happens. So I went back here to click on the continue to go to the investigator phase, but this pops up. Just when you think it's safe, you hear a blood-curdling scream, ah! And the sound of tearing flesh from another room. Oh boy. And then silence. You have a feeling you are too late to save the butler. Each investigator suffers 2 horror. Oh, so we get 2 horror, and it don't say face down. So what happens is we have to read them up and then put them down unless it instructs us otherwise. It also says a creature bursts into the lobby from the direction of the scream. If the door is blocked by a barricade, discard that barricade. The creature's black serpentine body shifts and changes, playing tricks on your eyes as you try to focus on it. The creature unfurls its leathery wings and unleashes a blood-curdling screech. Spawn a hunting horror as indicated. Great, so you can see there's a monster here. It looks like a snake with wings. It's fairly large. It's a hunting horror. I'll show you what the miniature looks for that. I do not like this. And we also suffer 2 horror, so I gotta shoot that too as well. I don't like to. Oh, and look what happens after that. The haunting horror moves up to 3 spaces to be within range of as many investigators as possible. Then it attacks each investigator within range. So I'm going to stop the recording right there. We're going to go back. We're going to resolve the horror, and then we'll be back to resolve the haunting horror attack. These are the horror cards. You can see it's like it affects the mind. And these are your damage cards. It has a heart onto it. But we're doing horror. So the first one, and this one is for Wilson Richards. So, hysteria. Screaming hysterically, you claw at your own flesh with your nails. Awesome. Resolve immediately. Flip 1 damage face up, then flip this card face down. I don't have any damage, as you can see, but this is face down. The horror. Now, if we reach this, we're going to have a condition, or if we reach 8 physical damage or 8 horror or 6 horror damage, we will get a condition, and we keep playing, and then if we get another one of the same conditions, we lose, we die. And that is a horrible, horrible thing to happen. So that's 1. I'm going to be back with the other 2, and we'll see what happens. This just might be a very quick game from the look of this. So he's got his 2 horror damage, but one of them said you're going to flip a damage face down, a physical damage, and then you flip that one. So that's what he has so far. So he has 2 of his 6, and he has 1 of his 8. And for McGlenn, he just suffers 2 face down horror, because that's what it said. That's not bad, but still, he's 5, so he is almost, half or more of this, and he's halfway to taking some serious brain damage. Let's go back to the hunting horror and see if we're going to do something. Actually, first I get the miniature and put it on the table. Here's a look at the haunting horror, the snake-like creature with leathery skin, leathery wings, and a horrible screech. Now you can see there's a card that is in the base that you insert, such as this. I'll go over now what each of the stuff means for the monsters too as well, but you can slide it out. I'm going to slide it out just for now so I can read it and make it more easy. But just to let you know, there's a top and a bottom of the card. So for the monster tokens, I'm referring to page 14 into Learn to Play, just to tell everybody what each number means and everything. So first you have the name, which is the haunting horror. So number 5, you can see here, which is this is awareness. A monster's awareness is referenced when an investigator resolves an evade check in a space that contains multiple monsters. So if Investigator wants to try to run away from the monster. He has to do an evade check. And that's this haunting horror evade is 5. So next on it is the 6, which is horror rating. Monster's horror rating is referenced when an investigator resolves a horror check with range of multiple monsters. So if he's in range of multiple monsters and he has to do a horror check to the closest one and they're all in the same area, then you have to go with whoever has the highest horror rating to see for the horror check. And I'll explain horror checks as we encounter them, because I'm sure we will do it. So let's flip over the card and we can see what else. So you have some text and you have another number. So the text is abilities and flavor text. A monster's abilities, if it has any, are defined on the token back. A monster's flavor text gives a brief thematic description of the creature's appearance and behavior. And the number is brawn. So this number here, the 3 you can see, is the brawn rating of this haunting horror. A monster's brawn represents its physical prowess and is referenced by various effects. So such as barricades and everything. If we come across that in the game, I will certainly read it and explain it to you. But let's look at the special ability of this haunting horror as well as the flavor text, shall we? So flying. The monster can move through impassable borders. So them dotted lines, like it's that are on the board, it can pass through it because it just flies over it. And the flavor text is black and ropey and relentless. The creature flies swiftly, always seeking its quarry. Seeking whoever it's going to kill. Its ever-changing form is hard to see for mortal eyes. So humans can't really see it that well because it's always changing. So we're going to place that on the board and we're going to go back to the app and we're going to try to fight this creature or evade it. Hopefully he's not in range for anything. The haunting horror busts out of the door, which may have killed the butler in this room. We don't know. We just heard a screaming and tearing of flesh. Don't know if it was just the haunting horror doing it. But anyhow, then he moves up to 3 spaces to be in range if he's in range. But again, this is one zone. So he moves up to here. So he is definitely in range to attack both investigators. Let's go to the app now and see what damage it's going to take. Back in the app. Okay, the haunting horror moves up to 3 spaces to be within range of as many investigators as possible, which it had done. Then it attacks each investigator within range, so both investigators are going to attack. So you can see there's 2 options. Cannot move to be within range, which I'm going to click. I can't click that because I'll be cheating. Or the monster attacks. The monster attacks. So the creature emits an ear-piercing cry. You are uncertain whether the sound emerges from some orifice or it's simply the result of its withering claws scraping against its slate gray hide. And you can see up here, this is your will, I think it is. You have to get 2 or higher. If you pass, you cover your ears and block out the pain. If you fail, the sound deafens you to everything but the echoing scream that suddenly sounds all too human. Suffer 2 face-down damage to become dazed. So dazed is an effect that you can get that may stick with you for the rest of the game. And suffer 2 face-down damage. So this is physical damage, so the hurt cards that I showed. So we're going to go back to the board, we're going to do the test for it, and we're going to see what happens. Hopefully, both investigators will pass by rolling 2 or higher. Starting off with Wilson Richards. He has a will of 3, so 3 dice. I got to get 2 successes. But if he rolls a magnifying glass, he has the option to turn one to another success. Oh, look at that. He's going to spend his search or magnifying glass to turn that to another success. So he passed. So he was managed to cover his ears so that nothing is harming him. Oh boy. we're gone to Michael McGlenn now. Now, with Michael McGlenn, he has a will of 4, so he's a little bit more stronger in will, and he has to get 2 successes, but you can see he spent all of his clue tokens already, so he can't change one of the successes. So I need to get 2 or higher, or he's suffering some damage there. 1. Uh-oh. This is horrible. He's going to suffer some damage. You can see he suffered 2 face-down damage, so now he has dazed. So what dazed means is you cannot spend clues to convert dice results or perform additional puzzle steps. At the end of your turn, discard this card. He don't have any clues, but he has this, and then this is going to get discarded at the end of his turn. So on the end of his next turn, he discards this, which ain't too bad. But I also noticed too as well, he has 5 horror, he has 2 that he can take, he has 2 already, but he has whiskey. Action, discard up to 2 face-down horror, then flip this card. So I'm going to do this because I don't want to suffer anything else. So I'm getting rid of my 2 face-down horror, and he's going to flip over whiskey. Now again, I said that some cards have other effects on them, which is this. So broken bottle. You smash the bottle. If it is crude, but it will make a good enough weapon if you get into trouble. Treat this card as a bladed weapon. Nice. So he loses his horror, and he also has a bladed weapon, which is a broken bottle. That's not too bad. So we're back onto the investigator phase. When something happens, I will let you know. But I think we're going to have to try to take out this this haunting horror first. Just when you think it is the investigator's phase, oh no, it says each investigator must resolve a horror check against a monster within range with the highest horror rating. There's only 1 monster, so both investigators have to do a horror check. So they may even suffer even more damage, which is horrible. After all horror checks have been resolved, tap the end phase button to continue, which is the button down here. So click on continue. So this is the monster, we click on that. Resolve a horror check, confirm. So the creature latches onto its surroundings, tearing them apart. This is your will. I have to get a 3 or higher for each investigator. If you pass, you hold still and it ignores you. If you fail, you lose your nerve and scream, drawing the beast's attention, suffer 2 horror. Oh, and this is the beginning, the scenario, the beginner scenario, and it's already kicking my butt royally. So I'm going to do these horror checks. We're going to come back and we're going to see if any investigator suffered the 2 horror or not. Richards is going to do the first horror check. His will is 3. Let's see if he's going to pass it. He only gets 1. So because of that, he failed. And because he failed, he's going to suffer 2 horror. Not good. And that's going to hurt him. Hurt him, hurt him, hurt him. So he suffers 2 horror, and they're not face down, they're face up. Both of the 2 horror cards says mirror shock. They're mimicking their mirrors. So minor shock, I should say, not mirror. Resolve immediately. No additional effect. Flip this card face down. So we flip it face down, such as this, but you can see there's 4 horror and he only has 6. This is very scary, so I'm thinking I'm going to have to use some of my cards here. You can see here it says, Instill Bravery. Action. You or another investigator within range, discard 1 horror, then flip this card. So he's going to discard 1 horror. So it brings down the 3, so he's halfway there. And you're going to flip this Instill Bravery card. And let's see what it'll tell us here. So a strange darkness enters the edge of your vision. I gotta make a test. This is your lore 3. If you pass, the darkness fades, no additional effect. If you fail, the darkness whispers. Flip 1 horror, face up, then discard, and gain another Instill Bravery. So again, there's some conditions with cards, and this is one of them. So now I have to make my lore, which is 2. And I got to get a 3. So there's no way that I can pass this. It's impossible. So because of that, I fail. So I flip one of the horror cards face up. And it's minor shock, no additional effect. Flip this face down. I knew that. So I did that. And now this gets discarded, and I get another one of these Instill Braveries. On to Michael McGlenn's horror check. He has four for his will, so he has to get 3 successes or he's going to suffer 2. Obviously, his rolling sucks really bad, so he's going to suffer 2 as well. So he suffers 2 horror. Let's see what the horror is going to be. That is the 2 horror that he has to suffer, so let's flip them over one at a time and see what it'll tell us. Oh, minor shock. No additional effect. Flip the card face down. That's not too bad. And another minor... Wait a minute, did I get the cards mixed up here? Oh, jeez. No, 2 minor shocks. Nice. Well, it's good and bad at the same time, but 2 horror face down he takes. So again, he's got a total of 5 he can take. He's got 2. I was thinking that Richards was going to help him out, McGlenn, because he has another Instill Bravery, and it says too as well, you or another investigator within range, and they're on the same square, you can see there, so they're definitely in range, can discard 1 horror, then flip this card. But he already has 3 out of 6. He has 2 out of 5, so Wilson's going to hold on to this card for himself right now. So that is the horror check part. That is really bad. Like, we only are on the beginning tile. We already got the haunting horror out. And both investigators, as you can see, are suffering miserably. This is not looking good for investigators. Finally, that is the end of the Mythos phase. Because there's nothing else. I clicked on continue. It went away. And we click on this. End of Mythos phase. It certainly is. So we're back onto the investigator phase. And we're still only on the 1 stinking tile. Like, oh boy. This is not looking good at all. But that's okay, because we're just going to keep continuing on. I don't like them sounds. This is scaring the crap out of me. I'll be back again when something happens. Okay, I lied. Something is definitely going to happen here, because we have that haunting horror in the same space as the investigators are, and we got to try to kill that thing. So I'm going to show everybody how you fight a monster. So it is Wilson Richards' turn, so he's going to do it first. So remember I told you about these buttons on the the lower left-hand side? A book, tentacle, and a backpack. We want the tentacle because that is your monster we're going to fight. So we're going to click on this. It brings up the monster tray. There's only 1 monster here. So you can see the haunting horror. It has an attack or evade, and it has a health rating of 5. But we're going to attack it. So Wilson Richard is going to attack, and it says, what type of weapon will you attack with? So I'm going to check, see what it is, what weapons, I can't recall, and I'll be back to you in the app in just a moment. I'm back. I know. People who've played Mansion the Madness before or did not play it and are watching this video are saying, why don't you just evade? Run away because you're in so much damage and peril already. But I'm not going to do that because I want to show everybody how you attack. Now I checked Wilson Richards' inventory, and he has the crowbar, which is considered a heavy weapon. So if you can see here, you have a list of what you can choose to attack with. I'm going to click on attack with a heavy weapon, and that is what he's doing. So it does say, you swing the weapon in a tight circle, building up momentum before thrusting out towards the creature. So this is your agility and 2. If you pass, the speeding weapon slams into the beast, the terrible mass heaving backward. The monster suffers damage equal to the weapon's damage plus your test results. If you fail, you lose control of the spin and fumble to regain it. So I'm going to go back on the table. I'm going to roll the dice on camera so you can see if I damage this horrible, haunting horror. Back at the table. So Wilson Richards is going to attack with the crowbar the haunting horror. Now you can see the crowbar here has a power of 2. It's a heavy weapon, so it can do some substantial damage to him. The hunting horror only has a health of 5, as you can see it's indicated here, and it also shows onto the app. So we're going to attack with our agility, and you can see our agility here is 4, so we get 4 dice. If we succeed by getting over 2, that means we add the amount of successes plus the weapon damage, and then that may potentially kill. So if I get 3 successes or more, that hunting horror is dead. So let's try and see. Please, please. He's got 1, and he's got a clue, and he's got a clue, so he's going to turn this to a success. He's selling one of his clue tokens, so that's 2. So he had to get 2 or higher, so he did succeed, so 2 plus 2 is 4. So that means the hunting horror is only got 1 more hit point left. I'm going to show that in the app right now. Back in the app, now I'm going to show you how you record your results of the dice roll. So as you can see, you roll for your agility 2. So I succeeded, I got 4 in total because I added the 2 results plus the 2 for the weapon. So you come over here and you can see, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So this monster is still alive by 1 hit point. So you click on continue. Nothing else is happening because we still have 1 more action left with Wilson Richards. And he's going to attack again. And he's going to attack again with the heavy weapon just to see if he's successful. So he may just kill this hunting horror by himself. I keep on saying haunting, but it's hunting horror. So he may be just lucky right now and just kill him because he only has 1 more point. You can see there's 4 damage and he has a total of 5. So it says you wait for the creature to strike, ready to return the blow at the same moment. It is your agility again, and we know he has good agility, and I have to get a 1 or higher. If you pass, the creature's attack creates an opening, and you swing your weapon with all your might. The monster suffers damage equal to the weapon's damage. If you fail, you react a moment too late, and suddenly all of your focus turns to defending yourself. So, what that means, every time you're using this app, this is what I love about this app, is it's not always the same thing. It's going to get you to perform different tests with different results, which is incredible. So all I need to get is 1 success, and if I do, I add 2, which is going to kill the hunting horror. So hopefully, just hopefully, we're going to do this. Let's go back to the table and see if we kill this hunting horror. I keep saying haunting, it's hunting horror. We've seen this before. He's going to attack with the crowbar. There's the dice. All I need is 1 success. And look at that. 2. He definitely killed that hunting horror. So bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. Great job, Wilson. You did an awesome job, and you saved, that's right, you saved McGlenn from a horrible death. So I'm going to go back to the app. I'm going to show you what happens when you put the final blow and you kill the monster or whatever it is that you're battling, and we'll continue on from there. But before I do that, just to let you know, after resolving a horror check, you become focused. I forgot about that. So he resolved a horror check, he was successful. I have to add a focus, which I'll do shortly before I go to the app and show you that. And here, whenever a monster is defeated, become focused. So it don't say on the card that he has to defeat the monster, just the monster's defeated. So he's becoming focused because the monster's defeated. He's becoming focused because of the horror check. This is a look at the focus cards. They're one-sided, you can see. And it does say you may discard this card to convert all search icons on the dice to stars, which is your successes when resolving a test. So focusing is a really good thing to have. So each of them has a focus. Good for him because he has no more search tokens left right now, or clue tokens. So let's go back to the app so we can show you about this hunting horror, how it died. I'm going to show you about inputting it and that the monsters died. So you can see here, the hunting horror, it only takes 1, but I got him twice. And And as soon as you add the number is equal here to the damage, this pops up. Are you sure you want to discard this monster? Confirm. And that is it. Wilson Richards just single-handedly killed the hunting horror. Great job for Wilson. So now it is on to McGlenn's turn. I'm not going to turn off the app right now because I know exactly what I want to do because they're in the same space right here. So he's going to click on this. McGlenn's going to click on that to try to do it. So mysterious painting in the landscape. We already seen this. Night sky overlooks the lavish entryway. This is his first action. So I have to roll for my lore and see what he gets. McGlenn's lore is 2. Hopefully he's going to get 2 successes or at least 1. 2 successes. He finally does a really good job on rolling. Like, you're good at rolling. Finally, maybe luck has come around. So I'm going to input that into the app and we're going to find out if we get any goodies. Let's input our success, which was 2, and confirm. You identify several of the specks of light in the sky as planets. They're all occupying the same selection of the sky, as if coming into alignment. Ooh. Not unlike the planets in the sky tonight. Beneath the painting, a plaque reads, "In memory of Lilith Vanderbilt." Gain 2 clues, then discard this search token. Good job, McGlenn. So he gets 2 search tokens back, and we got to get rid of that. And you know what happens now? We're going to go on to the mythos phase. Okay, I lied. He still has 1 more action because he only used the 1 action to search that. So now we have a choice of either moving or going into one of these rooms, the Explorer tokens. So after talking to my partner, which is myself, we decided we're going to click on this one right here for our second and final action and see if it's going to, what other part of the mansion it's going to reveal. So let's click on it. Okay, the door leads deeper into the mansion. Explore. Whoa. Okay, so now I'm going to have to set up the board and I'll come back to you when it is all done. Setting up the room, I forgot to mention about the icon on the screen you can see right here. This is a barricade. So it says here, you could use the surrounding furniture to barricade the door should the need arise. Place a barricade is indicated. It was also in the main part of the room too as well. But just to touch upon with a barricade. So a barricade allows an investigator to block a door and prevent the monster from getting through. As an action, an investigator in a space containing a barricade may move the barricade against the door or move the barricade away from the door it blocks. Investigators and monsters cannot move through blocked doors. However, a monster can destroy a barricade that blocks the path. So remember on the video, the past clip, we looked at the monster card and we seen the brawn rating. So if a monster wants to go through a barricade, they have to roll the amount of dice equal to their brawn to try to bust in the barricade. If the monster rolls 2 or higher successes, the barricade is destroyed. Now again, there's some monsters that can just pass through barricades, pass through walls, pass through closed doors, such as that hunting horror that can fly, could just fly over them. So we have to keep that in mind as we play the game. But that's just to touch upon what a barricade is and how to use it. And the last part of setting up this room, as you can see the map, I got everything set up. I'll show the table, what it looks like. But it's giving me a free move action to move into the space, into the explored area, which I'm going to do. And that ends the investigator phase. We're on to the mythos phase now. The room is set up according to what the map is onto the app. So the only final thing is you're going to discard your explorer. And I'm going to move McGlenn in 1 space into the room. Now, if he had any more actions left, if he wanted to be mean, he could take this barricade and he could block it from the other investigator. That would be really mean, but he don't want to do that because, again, I want to try to keep the investigators together. It's the only way that we're probably going to have a chance at getting anywhere in this game, because they're suffering already. I'm going to do the Mythos phase off camera and not recording the app, and I'll be back and show you the results. Again, the video is going to be longer and longer if I just keep recording everything. I keep saying I'm going to stop it and go back when something significant happens, but everything we're doing is very significant. Whew! Wish me luck. For the Mythos phase that we just did, it specifically picked on Michael McGlenn because he opened the door, so I guess the spirits are like, we're going to attack him. And what he had to do is, he gets scared so bad when he opened that door, he started screaming and he ran, and when he ran straight into a wall. And I had to do, which is an agility check, which is 3 dice, and I had to get 2 successes. If I failed, then I was going to suffer a face-down damage by hitting my head and hurting it. But if I passed, I managed to regain my footing and not slam into the wall. So I rolled, and that is what I got. 2 successes, so I just passed. So he was lucky, and that ends the Mythos phase, and we're back on to the hero phase of the game. As I said before, I want to keep the group together as best as possible. So Wilson is going to go and follow McGlenn. So he's going to go 1 action for his 2 spaces, because you can move 2 spaces on your action. So for his second action, he's going to check out what is underneath here. Door number 1. Dun, dun, dun. McGlenn is going to check out, well, not McGlenn, sorry, Wilson. So we're in this area here. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so we can click on it. Again, this is going to be a second action. A stack of papers has been strewn about the floor. I'm obviously going to search. Amidst the mundane paperwork, you find a weathered page covered in a strange script. Someone has scrawled a note, whatever you want to call it, in English across the top of the page. Speak these words for great power. Now, should I recite the script or return the papers? Do you know what? I'm going to recite the script. Why? Why not? Ooh, the eldritch words take on a life of their own as you speak them, reshaping your mind with new understanding of the script you are looking at. The lights flicker and you hear a whisper in your ear. Power comes with a price. Gain the withered spell, then discard the search token. Yay! Awesome. So that means that he is, he's got the withered spell, which is a good thing. Now, on top of the withered spell, we're going to see what it tells you, but there's nothing else that he can click on, and that was his second action. So he's going to stay just where he is, and it's on to McGlenn's turn. Let's go back to the board, and we can see what the withered spell tells you. Discard the search token, so that's gone from there, and we get the spell called Withered. Withered. It has a weapon icon. It's a power of 2. Now, it's a spell. So, as the spell takes effect, the victim's body withers and mummifies. And there's obviously text in the back, which I'm not going to read. But that could be a very good card. It could come in handy as we go. Hopefully it will. So now what I'm going to do is we are going to go on to McGlenn's turn here. On McGlenn's turn, he is going to move up for 1 action. 2 spaces, and for a second action, obviously we don't have to click on this because that's just for that door. So we're just going to leave that there though. And second action, he's just going to go up here. And he's stopping, and that ends the investigators phase. Now we're on to the Mythos phase. I may not record all of the Mythos phase. If something big comes about, I will be back. I had to record this part because something really bad just happened. So during the Mythos phase, it specifically picked out Wilson Richards. And what he had to do, pretty much, just to sum it up, is he had to roll to see if he gets any horror. And he had to roll his observation. Now the problem is his observation is 3. He rolled it, but he got 3 blank. That's really bad. So because of that, what happened? He had to suffer 2 face down horror and then flip up 1, and then flip up 2 horror, I should say. So you can see the face down horrors here. He is 1 away from getting an effect onto him, and that's not a good thing. Now I flipped 1 up, or 2 up, I should say, and all they were. One was just a minor shock, so he flipped it back down. The other one was I had to flip up any damage card. So I flipped that up, and it was just a minor flesh wound and told me to flip that back down. So at least he lucked out there. But as you can see, he's got 5 horror. Now, his limit is 6, as you can see, so he's on his way out. We have to do something about this. And what he's going to do about it is he's going to use the holy water. And this is action. Discard 1 horror and become focused. Then discard this card. So he's going to discard this. So we can discard 1 horror because he's in some serious doo-doo. After he does that, the next thing what he's probably going to do, because he's 4. If I get 2 more, he's going to get a condition, and I don't want that. He's probably going to look to use Instill Bravery, which I think is a good idea. You or another investigator within range discard 1 horror, then flip this card. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to discard another horror, and I'm going to flip this, and we're going to read what the text is, and hopefully it's going to be something that's not too bad. The sound of bells ring in your ear, and it's lore 3. If you pass, you draw comfort from the music of the cosmos. Flip 1 horror face down. If you fail, the sounds fade, leaving you none the wiser, no additional effect. Then discard this card and gain another Instill Bravery spell. So we have to do a test here. So lore, it's your book 1. For him, his lore, you can see here, is 2, and he has to get a 3, so there's no way that he can do this. So he failed it, but nothing happened. I just discarded it, and I grab another Instill Bravery. That wasn't too bad. Now, also becoming focused, but he's already focused. I've just noticed in the book too as well that I've been playing this wrong, just slightly wrong, and I just want to say it on camera that like I said, there's probably going to be some rules mistakes. I forgot about this. I forgot about this last time I played too as well. But in any case, whenever you have a test that you have to complete by like rolling your will negates, your lore negates, your observation negates a certain damage. If you fail, just say that it says you have to roll 2 to negate it. If you roll 1, so you're not going to take 2 damage, which I've been doing, like giving the amount of damage. You would only take damage on what you failed at succeeding. So if we were doing a test of 2 and I rolled a 1 success, then I only get 1 damage and not 2, or one horror and not 2. So that's just a little quick rules adjustment there. So we're going to move forward and we're going to play according to the rule book. So if anybody's commenting down below, please just refer to this part of the video that I did catch this, and I'm rectifying it as we go along. Now, because he failed that spell, or he read that out loud and it said that with power becomes a price, this just popped up on the screen. Awesome. And it states, and now you'll pay the price for that power. The lights flicker, the air crackles with electricity. Suddenly, reality seems to split before you, and the terrifying creature slips through from the unknowable space beyond. Spawn a Mygo as indicated. Oh no, so another monster is coming out. This is not a good thing at all. Uh-oh. And now, the Mygo moves up to 2 spaces to be within range of as many investigators as possible. Then it attacks the investigator within range who has suffered the most horror. Oh my. Okay, let's go back to the board and put the Mygo on there and continue on from there. There's the Mygo miniature. I'm not going to go over his stats and his flavor text and so forth until it comes in effect, but you can see he has 6, so I'm thinking he has a health of 6 there. But he comes out of the shadows and he is placed there, or out of the unknown area. And he moves up to the closest hero within range with the lowest, or that took the most horror. And it is Wilson. Wilson is there anyhow, so he goes up and he's going to attack Wilson. And you can see the stats here for my go. He has a hit value of 5, like I said. And now he is going to attack. Oh, the creature holds a strange bronze orb made of interlocking circles between his claws, twisting it this way and that. So this is your will too. If you pass, you feel a sharp spike of pain in your temple and various bad memories flicker through your mind's eye. Flip 1 horror face up. If you fail, you are briefly overcome with blind terror, and for no reason you can explain. Drop all of your items, then move 2 spaces away from the Mygo. That is horrible. So what we're going to do is we're going to test our will. Let's go back to the board, test our will, and move on from there. Hopefully it's going to be good. Wilson's will is 3. Oh, he needs 2. Let's see if he gets it. He's got 1 clue left, and he is also focused, so that may help him out. So he's got 2. So he succeeded into this attack from Mygo. Since he succeeded in this mental attack, what it tells you have to flip 1 horror face up. So let's flip up just this horror right here. And it tells you minor shock. Resolve immediately. No additional effect. Flip this card face down. That was very lucky for Wilson. And we're still not done with the Mythos phase because I think we're going to have to do a horror check as well. I may not record this. I'll just come back when it's done and I will show you what it is. I'm going to go back to the app. I'm going to do the horror check for them all if it prompts me to. And I'll be back and tell you what exactly happened. Nothing really major happened for the horror check. He had to do a will test. Both of them actually had to do different will tests. And it was -1. And you'd suffer 2 horror if you failed. But they managed both to roll 2 successes. And they were able to succeed. And that's all what happened in the Mythos phase. Now we're on back to the Investigators phase. And I'm thinking Wilson Richards is going to attack this Mygo. Hopefully he's going to hit him. And he's going to attack him with probably his crowbar. We'll go back to the app and we'll see what it tells us to do. Okay, we're back to the app. And now we are going to attack the monster for Wilson Richards. So let's click on him. He's going to attack. And he has the heavy weapon, so he's definitely going to be attacking with the heavy weapon. Now it is shouting wordlessly. You raise your weapon above your head and bring it down over and over again. Now it's your strength +1. The monster suffers damage equal to the results. So we're going to see what it is. I'm not going to record that part of the gameplay, but I'll be back and tell you exactly how much damage was managed to get for this one. Okay, Board Game Maniacs. Hopefully you stayed with me playing this Mansions of Madness 2nd edition, the first scenario, Cycle of Eternity, up to this far. Now, you're going to notice it's been cut off short. That's because if you look on our channel, or there possibly could be a link down below to let you know to click on the second part so that you can view that. And then after you view the second part of this video, you can click on the link down below and you can click on the third and final part. This is a 3-part video for Mansions of Madness 2nd edition, Cycle of Eternity. It's the first scenario. I hope you're enjoying it so far. It's been very hectic. It's been very stressful, but stressful in an extremely fun way because I'm having a lot of fun in trying to solve this. So if you want to watch the other episodes, click on the link below. They'll be released periodically between the first week, second week, and third week, which coincides with the first part, second part, and third part for Mansions of Madness 2nd edition. Aww.